Hello and welcome to another episode of Beyond the Buffers. It's been a little while since we've done one of these, but don't worry, we're back and we're going to be bringing you new episodes every month. This month I got a chance to sit down with George Waller, so take it away. Well, George, welcome to Beyond the Buffers. First time you've been on the show.
Yes, yeah. I'm excited to be here. So
You know the format, sit down, chat, talk about whatever you want, George.
Yeah.
So we are going to talk a little bit about HM7000. Obviously, for the people at home that may not really know too much about you, let us know what's your job role here, how long you've been here.
So my name's George. I'm a new product developer at Hornby Hobbies. I mainly deal with the HM7000 range of products, and also with the Humbrol brand as well. I've been here 4 years now. So I'm just getting the layout of the land still, I suppose. But
Yeah. So what did you do before?
So I used to work for a signage company.
Nice.
So it was basically integrating signage into Sainsbury's stores. So they had various different projects. If you've seen like their new store branding, you see that the colour has changed within the last like 10 or so years.
Yeah.
It's basically integrating all of that. So that's what I did previously. So
then what was it that made you want to make that change from that to working at Hornby?
I actually got headhunted
Really?
by Hornby, which was quite interesting.
Oh, nice.
And the offer to come and work at a toy company was just, too good to let go, to be honest.
Yeah. And when you said they headhunted you, what did they say to you? What was their way of casing you
Honestly,
in?
Hornby is an easy sell for someone like me who has always loved his toys. I always loved building things when I was younger. And so, to then go to university and get a degree and then move on into like a toy manufacturer was just, the perfect opportunity for me.
And what was it like when you first started, if you can look back a little bit towards that?
I think everyone is very, very friendly here. They've always been so helpful, and it made that, integration of me into the company very, very easy.
Yeah, I think what we tend to see a lot from our videos and our podcasts and things is that there's a lot of passion and dedication from the people that work here, and you don't see that in too many other jobs.
No, it was definitely an upgrade from my previous company, so having that.
And what was the first thing that they got you working on when you came,
Oh, blimey.
if you remember?
Do you know what? 4 years ago, I jumped straight in at the deep end with the development of the new HMDC app and the HM6000 units. Right in the deep end, getting, learning all of the electronics and, what was needed for the new system. There was also thoughts and, about this system that's just been released. So it's been 4 years in the running, really.
And did you know much about the systems before you started that project?
So I used to have an analog train set. That's all I had. I learnt DCC from the ground up. And now we're here now, Bluetooth control with your mobile phone. So
I guess then the idea was that rather than you necessarily knowing all the ins and outs, you could come in with a bit of a fresh take on what's needed from the outside. Because sometimes it's great to know everything about a product or a model or anything like that, but sometimes you need that kind of outside eye to say, well, actually, as a non-consumer or someone coming to this, you might like to do this or you might like to do that.
I think that's what you normally get with new blood into a company.
Yeah.
You get that fresh thinking that you may never have had before.
Yeah.
You might not even thought of an idea, and I might come up on a day and say, this is a good idea.
Yeah.
Should we give this a go? Oh, yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah. So 4 years on, you did HMDC, great. You moved on to HMDCC, and in between that, obviously Humbrol and things like that.
Yes, yeah.
So at what point was there a conversation about moving from HMDC to HMDCC?
So it was all part of the initial structure of what we were looking to build. So we were looking to build Bluetooth model railway control for the analog system.
Nice.
And then we were going to go and move on to the DCC, the digital command control system. So there was always a timeline of exactly what was going to happen there. So,
and when you got to HMDC out, and how there was a year or two between maybe a bit
Yes.
more?
Yeah, so with HM6000, a lot of the development, we developed the new Bluetooth mesh system, which is what's under the hood of our 7000 system as well. So it means all the devices link together, and they all work together as well. So we always had that from the start, and then we moved over and, made that better, and upgraded it. So.
And I guess I'm assuming you had a plan, like you said. You've released HMDC. That's gonna change what you've thought for HMDCC, because I assume then you've got something out in the field. You're going to get feedback, and your project's going to change a little bit, right?
Yeah, I mean, one of the it's a lot of experience that you gain from a product going into the market, and a lot of that we've brought over to HMDCC as well. We've learnt a lot, especially with regards to like Android devices, for example. So we noticed on our HMDC system that some Android devices wouldn't work with regards to the permissions.
Right.
And it took a lot of investigation to work out that it wasn't actually our system that was at fault. It was that Android hadn't actually caught up with this new Bluetooth mesh technology, which is, we couldn't quite believe that. So we've learned that might be the case, whereby, customers with our new system, because they still work on the same architecture, they may have to go into their developer settings to access those Bluetooth permissions needed to actually control their locos. So how do we fix that? How do we make sure that people know about it? Well, we need to get this into instruction manuals. We need to get it into our troubleshooting, because a lot of the time we can fix the issue. The real problem is that there is thousands of Android devices out there, and they've all got their own settings. They've all got their own developer settings. So when it does actually come to customer care with a simple request of it's not working or it's not connecting, we have to go even further and deduce that issue to work out how we can actually fix it for the customer. It's a great feeling though when a customer has this issue and then you can actually fix it for them without giving them a brand new piece of tech. You actually fix and solve that problem. So that's been really nice in the last month. That we've had HMDCC out there, is being able to fix these little teething issues that we have just at the start of the new system.
Yeah, and of course, 2020 brought a worldwide pandemic and supply shortages of chips and things like that. So I'm guessing that had quite an impact on the project overall.
Absolutely, it was a massive impact on the project. So a lot of people might know about the component shortage. Car manufacturers were facing this. Some cars, even today, you can't get with all the features and functionality than you would normally get if those car manufacturers could get the right chips.
Games consoles.
Games consoles. There was a shortage of games consoles, and we certainly suffered with that as well. We suffered with developing them. We couldn't get any samples to even work with. And also as well, a lot of design decisions are made, especially with regards to the size of the decoders. They were dictated by what components we can get at the time. Right. So the lead times of these components as well were so massive. We're talking a year and a half. There was some times where it was like, you're not going to get these decoders for 2 years.
Okay.
And that has a serious impact, even getting this system here. But it's here now, and a lot of these issues that have gone into the market, we see them on forums, and they say, this decoder's a little bit too big. We knew this a year ago, and the option boils down to either have a decoder that is slightly bigger or have no decoder at all. And we wanted to provide something, that fits as many locos as possible, especially with regards to the Next 18 decoder that we've got. We've had to design our locomotives as well to actually take that size of decoder. So that's a design decision that's been completely born out of this shortage of chip supply.
Which is obviously something that no one could have predicted at all. And you're making those decisions as you go along. So after all that, You breathed a sigh of relief there when you said it's out in the market.
Yeah.
How did that feel for you to finally get that project that you've been working on for so long out into the market?
Do you know what? It feels even better knowing the feedback that we've got already within the first month. The feedback's been absolutely fantastic. People are really, really loving the new system, which is an amazing feeling. You can imagine the amount of thinking that's actually gone into this.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people who say, oh, this is a great feature. And you go, you know, I thought of that, or
Yeah.
you know, we discussed this and thought this would be brilliant to add in, or this would make it more convenient for the user. So yeah, it's an absolutely fantastic feeling. So
And we'd be remiss if we didn't want to talk about the fact that at the time of recording, it's only available on iOS and will be on Android devices very soon. And we have talked in lives and things about the differences that to a consumer, even like myself, I just assume you stick it on Apple Store, you've got to stick it on Android as well. But then even in conversations we've had, you've explained, well, you know, Apple has X amount of devices, Android covers various different manufacturers, various different sizes, various different devices, which all has to be incorporated into the framework, I assume, of the app itself and the look of it and how it works and things.
Definitely. So developing for iOS, there will be those subtle differences when you move over to Android as well, and all of those have got to be whittled out, and then you've got to consider multiple devices, obviously more devices for Android. There's a lot of thinking that goes into it, and then there's also a lot of testing that's needed as well. It's I get this from all angles. When's Android coming?
Yeah.
When is it coming? And it's almost like how long is a piece of string sometimes, because you go, oh, I'm going to say that, you know, we think it's going to be 4 weeks, for example, and then you get going and you start picking up these little things. We go, well, we can't release it like that. Or we've tested it and you know, the app might crash in a certain instance, so we've got to fix that. So you know, if there keeps being all of these bugs and these little things that come out, there's sometimes a place where we need to go, right, there's the cutoff, and then we'll work on more in the future. We know what's wrong. There might be a problem that's not critical. There might be a get around to that problem where you might only have 0.1% of the user base having this issue, and it's all right. Customer care will be able to support.
And that brings us to a point that this is a system and an app, and that it's not just about on launch day. That's it. This is something that's going to develop over time. You're going to get feedback from consumers. You're going to look at data and things like that of how people are using it. You know, I guess that's quite important, that you'll be able to see, look, if we've put in something that, say, no one's using, presumably then you could say, well, we'll take that feature out and we can sort of be quite fluid in am I right?
See, even that's quite difficult to do,
because
because once you get a feature in the market, if you find out, you know, you take your data and you're like, hang on a minute, there's only 10 people who are using this. Those 10 people are then put out of place if you remove that feature.
True.
So really, you would only want to remove that feature if there's something critical in the app that stops other things working, I suppose.
Okay. But on the flip side, you could add things easily if you wanted to, or as you're developing, which I assume is the same basis as with your sound profiles. You can keep adding to those.
So we've got not only, you know, we have the HM DCC app, we now have our HM portal as well that links to the application. And this is a fantastic system for us. We can see all the data that's flooding through the system. We can, of course, add new sound profiles, you know, on the day. As soon as they're, you know, available internally and they've been tested, we can release them on the day, put a nice little social post out there saying it's ready, and then off the user goes. So,
That's probably for me the most interesting part, is that user feedback and that thing that it's not just about now. You know, you buy a system that only does what it says on the tin, and then 6 months down the line, you've got to reinvent the wheel, so to speak. Whereas with this, you can keep adding those updates and you can keep kind of changing it as it grows. So if I said to you, what is HMDCC for? What was the reason that this was created? Why did the model railway world need HMDCC?
I think that the customer base, we wanted to grow it as much as possible. How do we do that? And we considered, getting people into DCC for the cheapest price possible. And one of the ways of doing that is completely ridding out the controller.
Yeah.
That saves an awful lot of costs for the user. And then we can, spend, that energy that we've got to, develop the app further over time, through no additional cost as it was to the user. So.
But you've also accounted for the fact that people who already had those systems, the elite controllers, select and things like that they can still get those features. They're not missing out, which again is a massive undertaking in itself, looking at all these very different controllers that we have over the years. What's all their connections? How do they work with the Bluetooth technology and things?
Definitely. When we set out to develop this system, we wanted a system where no one had to chuck anything away, or to get into the system would be as minimal cost as possible.
Yeah.
Now, what that ended up doing is, birthing a system whereby there's so many different ways that it is compatible.
Yeah.
You've got, for example, you got the code HM7000 decoders out the box that work with your phone or tablet. You've got the legacy dongle that plug into existing controllers. There's so many different methods, and there's loads of different controllers that are not even Hornby controllers as well, where we're trying to be compatible for them because we don't want you chucking those controllers away. So it's just created this, we need to produce a big sort of like compatibility chart of absolutely everything that's possible with this system, but we've tried our best to make it as compatible as possible with everything.
Yeah, which is not an easy task.
Not an easy task at all.
Bit of a monster.
It does become a monster. Yeah. It's it works with this power supply and it works with, but not that power supply, and it works with this controller, but not that controller, and it does cascade into something really, really.
And
big.
I mean that's I take my hat off to you and the team in that sense, because there are a lot of companies that would have said, "Oh well, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Don't worry about that person that's got this controller, because it doesn't matter to us. We want them all to just transfer over X, Y, Z." But taking that time to enable you to be able to give our consumers now, those model railway enthusiasts, that chance to not have to be inconvenienced. And I guess it must be a little frustrating that some of those features and some of those products, you've got some in front of you, may not be out in the market now, but they're coming. So have there been, and I'm sure you're not allowed to say what the features are, have there been comments come back where you think, don't worry, it's coming, it's coming?
Yeah. I mean, especially with like with the legacy dongle, as it were, that isn't released yet. But this is, a fantastic product. This is my favourite product because it's such an easy in for everyone into the HMDCC app, for a real minimal cost. And, a lot of people have said about, what about like multi-user control? What about the club layout? How can we get multiple people, all playing with all the same locomotives that are on a layout, as cheaply as possible? And, because of that feedback that we've had, we are looking into, creating, sort of like adapters, as it were, so you can have multiple of these legacy dongles working. Everyone has a legacy dongle, and then, through one elite or select controller, you can have I don't know, hopefully, we still need to test more, but hopefully you can have 8 to 10 people, all around the layout, all playing with their individual device, and all they do is turn up with their phone and also their legacy dongle and the adapter.
Which is, that's great for those club layouts out there. And I think, in discussions we've had previously leading up to the launch and things like that, the ins and the outs of this system. So for you, absolutely everything. And I said to you, I expressly wanted to be someone that didn't know that and didn't want to know everything, because I wanted to see how easy it was for me to get involved in it. And I've said on TT Talk Live and all these HM7 that once you get your hands on it, as someone who doesn't know DCC, and who might be a little bit intimidated by that side of things, because I've used an Elite controller and it absolutely, the mind boggled when I was pressing in different things. I've then used the HM7000 DCC app, and it's so easy to use that you've done the hard work so that I don't have to. So thank you for that. And like I said in our licensing, I want that on our layouts. I want that because I think it provides such a good system that unlocks things that weren't there before for me as a user. Just because for example, me and the team here, we're filming stuff lots of different times. We're back and forth, bringing out that Elite controller, punching in the numbers and things that can take up time. And being able to go, oh, it's just on an iPad or a phone, or we can just control it really easily. I think it's really pivotal to kind of express that to people, how simple it is. And I know it's easy to say that on a camera, but
yeah, well, you can express it. I mean, very, very simply, that plug a decoder into your locomotive, link it with a few button presses on your app, and map in the function profile with a button press, because it will pick that up off the decoder. Go to the control screen, away you go. So it is really, really that simple. And do you know what? It's absolutely fantastic seeing, these videos on YouTube of kids playing with it. I keep saying, like, kids into DCC. That was almost like sort of unheard of, because it is like a black art. The previous system, you have to have, reels of instruction manuals to go through. You have to learn what every function button does. You have to learn that number 2 is the whistles, or this button's the lighting. Where now we have an icon that just tells you which each one is. And there's all these settings within the decoder that, are very, very difficult to understand exactly what they do. And now we've provided a convenient method, with all of these settings named appropriately, all within the app at your fingertips now. So, we've worked very, very hard to make it as simple as possible.
And as well, if you enjoy that side of it and you want to stick with the black art, you don't have to transition over to that system if you don't want to. So that's the option still there for you. It's not a kind of be all and end all, but like you say, you've enabled it to be more accessible for kids, which in turn then leads to them picking up that hobby for a lifetime. And the fact that kids nowadays, iPads and things like that, that's what they know. I think there's been a few people that have said their kids have picked it up and they've known how to work it quicker than they themselves, because they just, I get it, it's really easy. This is nothing like something else that I use. So I think that's a testament in itself that you've been able to do that. And I know, again, from discussions we have, that you are constantly trying to think about all the different types of users and all the different model railway enthusiasts. You're not just thinking, this is what I'd like, or this is what this person would like. And that's I know that's difficult. That's especially when other people are coming at you.
When you say your target market range is, from 3 upwards to 99, that's a huge demographic to try and create an application that caters for all. So we've had to work very hard on that, definitely. But as you said, there's users who like that black art. They love it. They know it. They can still run that system and then have the new system as well, and just try out one of the new decoders. If they don't like it, it's not a problem. It can still be used on that previous system. So it's one of the things we thought about.
So where are we at right now with everything? What stage are we at? What's coming soon? What do we know? What don't we know? What's the lowdown, George? What are we doing here?
So, as of current, we've had the new system going into the market. We've had a lot of feedback. We've had a few teething issues as well. So that's what we're working on, getting out first and foremost. We're fully aware of an issue with some of the installation of the sound profiles. Very, very frustrating issue at the moment, because when a customer comes to you asking, for a solution, when you tell them the solution is try again, it's not really a fix. So it's certainly a top priority on our radar right now to get fixed as soon as possible. We want to try and fix that as well before we release the Android version. So we're doing that in parallel at the moment. We're working on a fix for the sound profile issue, and we're working on that Android version as well. So hopefully in the coming month or so, we'll have that all fixed, in a nice little neat bow, ready for users to enjoy again.
Nice.
So.
And in terms of actual hardware and things like that, where are we at with certain things there?
So hardware, we're still looking around about Q3 for the non-sound decoders and the legacy dongle. We are hoping that does not slip, but there's so many factors that might mean that development does slip. Sometimes it comes down to capacity of the company. There might be other products that take priority before those ones do. There's a lot of lot of factors to work around. So,
and in terms of sound profiles, is that kind of they're just rolling through, and every sort of couple of weeks, things like that. There's every month or.
Yeah, definitely. We're still just churning these out at the moment, as quickly as possible. Again, the capacity we have can only get out so much. But you've got to view the future of what this this app's going to be in, say, a year's time. We're going to have plenty more sound profiles. We're going to be showing estimated times of arrival for even more sound profiles. We're never going to stop, and 3, 4, 5 years time, you're going to see absolutely floods of sound profiles in the system.
Which is amazing. And so I guess I want to ask, what has been the highlight so far of this project for you? If you could pick just one.
I would say it's certainly seeing the kids into DCC. I think that's fantastic. That's a market we've never really been able to hit with our DCC products of past, and now seeing just how easy it is with them playing it on their iPad. That gives me a lot of joy. That does.
Yeah. And what would you like to see happen in the future with HMDCC? What would you see?
So, blue sky thinking here. Now we're this product is part of the is an IoT product, which means it's part of the Internet of Things, as it were. Which means that we can start connecting to other applications out there or other systems out there. And this is where it starts getting really exciting, because the system, one such example is, what if I wanted to control my locos via my Amazon Alexa?
Nice.
We'll be able to do that in the future. Cool. You'll be able to see, loco 1, move at speed 50, for 30 seconds.
Nice.
Now, that's absolutely fantastic, because now you're seeing a lot more accessibility for people who were never able to, use a controller. You might have, people out there who have motor disabilities. Now they can play with model railway systems. Nice. And we can also start connecting to other stuff. For example, I've got an Apple Watch here, for example. Who's to say I can't use the crown on my Apple Watch to control my locomotive? So, there's all of that possibility there. And, that's only the start.
Yeah.
That's what we wanted to get out at the start with these generation 1 of decoders and this system, is get a good, strong foundation that we can then build on. Yeah,
I think that's great. The idea of accessibility and inclusion of people from all different types of walks of life. Like, you wouldn't initially think of that. You wouldn't think, oh, okay, maybe someone can't, for whatever reason, particularly use the layout in the same way that someone else does, and providing them that ability that they may never have had the chance to do before that might be blue sky thinking, but that's really cool. Like,
there's a lot more we can do with it, and build upon. Right now, Android version, Gen 1 decoders, making them as best as possible and the app as best as possible. Then we're going to move on to, you're going to have sort of like these Gen 2 decoders, which are going to be smaller and more accessible into, more locomotives. We want to try and fulfill that first. Then we can start getting onto the real, like fun stuff, and that blue sky thinking. So nice.
I'll give you I'll give you some quick fire questions.
Go for it.
00 or TT?
I'm a 00 user.
Steam, diesel, electric?
I'm an electric.
Nice.
Yeah.
Modern or traditional?
I'm modern.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What's your favourite biscuit?
Custard cream.
And what would you say is your most frustrating trait at work?
Probably how loud I am. Actually, that's more frustrating for everyone else, I guess. So,
And your best trait?
oh, my best trait. I usually try and be as friendly and amicable as possible in the
I would
workplace.
agree with that, George. That's what I was going to say. You're a very nice guy.
I always want to try and help everyone. Whatever it may be. It might be something I know nothing about, but I can go away, have a little research, and just do what I can to try and help that person with that problem.
And finally, do you have a favourite locomotive?
Oh, blimey! Do you know what I said? I said electric locomotives, but I absolutely love the Class 08 that we do, the Class 08 00.
Yeah.
Just especially with this new system. I mean, we've managed to fit a power bank in the cabin, and it just runs beautifully.
Yeah.
It's so nice, and it's lovely to use, and I absolutely love seeing the new system that was created being used in that locomotive. It works so well.
They're really popular, Class 8.
Yeah.
TT ones at the moment as well. Class 8, more Class 8.
Yeah. It's
Good.
coming.
Right, well, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. I'm sure we'll have you on again. Thank you to George for joining us, and thank you to you for watching as always. Don't forget to like, subscribe and comment, and until next time, I'll see you later.